All right, folks, welcome to Practical Shooting After Dark. My name is Ben Steger. Tonight, we have from Canada. People have seen a lot of you lately, Jeff.
Yeah, people have.
Yes, Matt. People have been seeing the regular amount of you.
Yeah. Oh.
Kind of mostly here, almost all the time. And Nick, people have not been seeing a lot of you lately.
They have not.
Where the fuck,
Back on the
man?
show to us.
Alrighty, guys, you guys know the rules. Every guy brings a topic. You get to pick from the list. This week in shooting, talk about something you did with shooting. Trigger warning, talk about something that pisses you off, or show and tell. You bring an item on to show and tell about it. And for the audio rip listeners, you have to describe the item. You know? All right. Who'd like to go first? I think, Mr. Hopkins, you've got a... You wanted to talk about something that you don't like, something that makes you a little bit angry.
You want me to go first on this?
I don't see why not. I don't see why not.
All right.
What do you got?
I have a trigger warning. So
You're triggered by something.
yeah, I think so.
Oh my god. Well,
First time I'm doing this one, so. So I want to talk about the state of the start position, hands relaxed at sides.
The
in the
state
sport.
of it.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you feel the state of it is?
I feel it's got a little out of hand and a little out of control. And I think I have a solution to fix it also.
Okay, I'm with. I don't know where you're going with this, so I could guess where you're going, but it's better if you say where you're going with it.
I just think a lot of the people are not doing hands relaxed at sides. It's more like a hands tensed up, ready to draw at sides.
Okay, I could see that. I creep in. That creeps into my practice for sure. I can tell you that.
So it's probably not an issue too much. It probably doesn't affect the match or stages or placements, but it's more like a respect for the game type thing, and like
These kids, they got no respect, do they?
Exactly, yeah, fucking millennials.
Have you ever seen anyone ever start a stage with their hands relaxed to their sides in history? Anybody
I
ever?
think I do, sorta.
I never have.
You never have ever?
Not relaxed. Nobody's relaxed.
I mean, there's a little tension there, but I mean, you can't start with your hands like above your magazines or like at the level of your magazines and be considered hands at sides, relaxed. With like a slightly bent elbow, like if you had like straight arm, wrist below your belt, I think is a good start and is a good way to get around this. So there's nothing about relaxed. All you're doing is have to have like a locked elbow with your hands below your belt or your wrist below your belt. And I just think the competitors should have like some more respect.
Hold on. So you would change the verbiage in the start position. Instead of hands relaxed at sides, it would be wrist below your belt.
Elbows
Locked, wrist below your belt.
Yeah.
How about arms straight, wrist below your belt?
Yeah, that sounds good.
No one's going to lock their elbow.
Well, there's some people would say like they physically can't lock their elbow.
Oh, that's bullshit. Bring a doctor's note. Come on. Stages are published in advance so you can get your doctor's note in time.
Oh my lord.
Just
note from your
specify start
gynecologist?
position of touching the marks or something like that.
Touching like, I guess you could do that. I don't know. So when I was shooting the Aguila Cup, I talked about that I think before. They have a rule in one of the sports where you have to like have a line on your shirt, like a certain number of inches down below your shoulder. Like we could start doing that with make a line below your belt, and you got to like have your wrist touching that.
I don't understand what you're saying. A line on your shirt, like it's physically printed on your shirt.
Yeah, or you can like measure it and like just put a mark there.
It's a shotgun rule, so it's the butt of your gun being below the line.
Yeah, so you can't have it mounted, so you have to like mount the shotgun as soon as you like see the bird. It's an international thing, kind of like IPSC.
Yeah.
Version of shotgun shooting.
Well, this makes you like how mad do you?
Which
get
is much harder. Much
It's
like Hip 6,
absolute.
Much like
Exactly,
yes,
yes.
exactly. When a sport becomes Americanized, it's kind of the same, just a lot easier. We strip out the hard stuff, and then there's your
That's
sport.
absolutely true.
It's like
That's a different topic, though, but
that is another thing that makes you angry, doesn't it?
doesn't make me angry. I just think it's
Yeah.
different. I don't know. Different thoughts.
You know how many people internationally, like when I explain like the typical way things are done in 3-gun, it's like, yeah, it's like 2 hits anywhere and you're good on a target, and like they can't wrap their brains around it.
Well, that's
Like
3-gun. They got
they
their
don't
own
understand what
guys.
I'm telling them. That's great. Anyway, okay, so how mad did you say you get at the hands not relaxed at sides thing?
It's more like annoyed. Like I don't get mad at it, but it's like a mild annoyance because every time you see some dude shooting video, it looks like he's fucking grabbing his belt with his hands at his sides.
Yeah.
When there's I remember some still photos that were allegedly a start position from certain shooters a few years ago where it was beyond all ridiculousness. You remember the ones I'm talking about?
I know exactly the one
Yeah.
you're talking about.
I do too.
Well, I know, like when I get shit on a lot, well, not a lot, but I get shit on sometimes for having my left hand like forward during practice. It's because my timer hangs on my left side, and it's either my hands on my timer, which is weird, or it's behind me, or it's in front of me. Like there's not really a good place to put it. You know what I mean?
That's why
But-
I put it in my pocket, so it's below. I got to kind of reach
No,
pretty far.
I don't mind. I'll put it on my left side. It's cool. It doesn't bother me. I could give a fuck about practice, but a good strategy in matches is you want to be compliant enough that you're not corrected.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, because
And the way-
if you get corrected on the line, that can throw people off. So you definitely want to avoid that.
Well, you want to have like you can cheat it a little, obviously, which everybody does. But if you get corrected on the line, you're gonna like throw yourself off
Yeah.
mentally and stage and everything, and it goes into arguing with the ROs at that point. Like, no, it is relaxed at sides.
No,
But
I wouldn't.
it's
I
gonna hit
wouldn't
my-
argue. Like if they're like, no, you have to be there. Like okay, like it's not going to be an argument because that's bad. All right, man.
Also, an argument you would win.
No,
Exactly, yeah.
well, that is like the argument itself would be detrimental, but where my hands are exactly, like I've timed it. Having my hand start an inch from my gun is no faster than having my hand act like properly relaxed at sides. So it's like there's not much of a reason to argue. Okay.
It's probably it's the wrong like thought process. Also, like trying to gain an advantage there versus something else.
Oh yeah.
But because there's no advantage to gain doing that,
No.
It's not worth the aggravation for sure. Yeah,
right?
if you're gonna be corrected on it.
Yeah. So your solution. So you'd be like hands below your belt. That would be what you want.
Yeah, Shannon put
wrist
it on
below
some
your
IPSC
belt.
national stages, wrist below your belt.
Wrist below your belt. Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting start position. I think that'd be all right.
It's like wrist
I mean-
above shoulders,
Yeah.
Exactly.
just the opposite.
I
I get
like
corrected
that, man.
on that several times. Actually.
You
What's
have?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. If I'm touching my hat brim, my wrists are, I think, above my shoulders. Maybe I got big hands.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. Hat brim. If you're down like this, I suppose
Yeah.
not. But you know,
Yeah.
lean back. Okay. All right, Jeffy. What do you got? What do you got?
This week in shooting, I guess.
Yeah.
So
What's going on this week, buddy?
up here in Alberta, I'm prepping for our major match, the provincials match, which would
A match
be
that I've
equivalent
shot, I
to.
should point out, with my
Yes, you have.
my good friend Jeff. A
So
great time.
it's equivalent to what, an area match, I suppose?
In terms of what?
In terms of size and stage complexities.
In terms of size and stage complexities, it surpasses our nationals. In terms of like the level of competition that's going to be there, it's somewhere between a section match and an area match, in my opinion.
All right. Well, I mean, our guys here put a lot of effort into building the matches, so that's why they tend to be 16 stages.
Yeah.
Across 3 days.
That's it.
How many of
Yeah.
those do they have a year in terms like
Well,
For
each
the lower
province would have their own, so that's
Everything-
what, 6 of them,
They
7.
all do. They all have one.
Yep.
Okay.
And then every year we have our nationals, and that's a 4-day affair. Yeah, so prepping for that right now. Lots of loading, lots of dry fire. I'm about an hour and a half away from my range, so not very much live fire.
That's brutal.
Oh, they fucked you guys so hard.
Yeah. So lots of dry fire, and I managed to get to the range once to kind of confirm things, make sure stuff works, but otherwise it's all dry fire and loading and prep
All
for
right,
what I can do at home.
So Jeff, what do you do differently to prep for a major match as opposed to a not major match?
Well, first, the stages were published, meaning that I can take a look at the stages and find out what's interesting and different. So low ports or tight angles and stuff like that, and I can actually attempt to replicate that in dry fire. So I'm doing specific things instead of simply fundamental blocks, I guess, for dry fire.
Yeah. Okay. What would you say your level of involvement in IPSC is right now, like compared to an average guy?
Fairly involved, I suppose, since I know the people around. I've been around for a while. I'm not involved in this upcoming match in terms of building it, but I'll be working it as an RO.
Quite wisely.
Seems to be quite the process in building this match.
Yeah.
Why is
Yeah.
that?
It's just a lot of coordination. The range itself is quite big, so it's a lot of moving materials around, and building 16 stages can be quite a bitch.
Is this the one where you had like a 50-second stage or something, Ben?
50 second? No, there was at their nationals, which is the nationals in Canada last year was held in Alberta at a range that I previously had shot in Alberta provincials at, and one of the stages there was, what was it, Jeff? Like a good time, like for a really good shooter, was like under 40 seconds.
Yeah, about 40 seconds.
It was like I was out of control. And it wasn't a stupid stage. It was just really big, lots of long targets, lots of running. It was one of the most interesting and fun stages I've shot, to be honest with you. I liked it a lot.
And then
that's the sort of shit they do there, man.
Quick bit of show and tell, I suppose. I'm holding a timer in my hand.
Oh, that's the one, baby.
I'm going to shamelessly plug this guy because I am in love with this timer. It makes dry fire very, very easy. It's the Pocket Pro, the original one. And Tim has them at the Pro Shop. Get yourself one.
Okay. Well, we'll do that. Okay, Jeff, so major match prep is underway. I want to go next. This is Nick's first time with this format, so he can like kind of understand the flow, understand how we do it. All right, this week at shooting, I'm doing something that I haven't done before, and I think it's interesting. I'm not sure if it's a good idea or not, but I'm definitely doing it. So that is, I'm shooting multiple divisions in practice in the same day, which is something I've been at for, I don't know, the last week. So I have limited guns I'm fucking around with, production guns normally I'm fucking around with, and like today, for example, I shot a full practice session, like a normal practice, I think 500, 600, 700 rounds, something like that, 9mm production, all the normal practice that I would do, and picked up all my brass, and then I got a 40 caliber limited gun out on a different belt, put that belt on, loaded up those magazines, and shot that gun, and did a practice with that. So I would have thought that this would be not advisable to do, but it has been, in my opinion, it is productive. And I actually kind of like it because I get kind of, let's say I've had my fill of shooting after one practice. Like, okay, good, I'm ready, I've shot, good. And then when I put on a different gun, it's like, oh, okay, this is, it's a little different. It kind of refreshes and reinvigorates my practice to where it's like, I'm working on things with that gun. And in my opinion, thus far, this has been a productive thing to do. And when I'm doing dry fire, I dry fire one division for a while, get a little tired of that, take a break, and dry fire the other. Different belt, different gun, different magazines, different everything. Nick.
I don't know if we discussed this before or not. We hadn't personally discussed it, but what is your ultimate goal with doing the limited thing right now?
I don't know.
Why are you doing it?
Just kind of fucking around. Yeah, I don't know. Like when it's not just limited, I've had other sessions where I've shot a carry optics gun for part of a practice, and then shot a production gun.
When I shot the limited gun for a while, I had goals in mind. Like I had an idea of what I wanted to get out of it. Now I didn't really do it long enough to really get out of it what I wanted to. It was kind of heading in that direction, I think, but I had some goals starting. So you must have some goals starting.
You're the man with the plan, and that's not me.
You always have a goal of some sort, more so.
I do. Well, for me, I guess I'm trying to learn how to shoot better, and learning a different. I should say my limited gun is very similar to my production guns. Very similar.
Okay, that's going to be my next question.
Yeah,
very specific gear questions.
Yeah, so my mag, it's a little bit different to reload. It's different to draw. Yeah, it's a little bit different, but it's mostly the same.
Okay,
so I'm trying to learn the particularities of shooting a little bit different gun. I approach different targets differently. So if it's like a longer partial, I don't give a fuck about hitting A's on it. Shooting major, I just lay them on there. Anywhere that sort of stuff. So I'm approaching the targets appropriate to the division, I would say. I'm sorry, Nick. Do you have more questions?
I was just going to say, I assume, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I bet you're not doing things like putting on a gas pedal or changing your holster location or really changing your magazine locations. Are you keeping all that the same?
Yeah. So initially, I did change the magazine location. I don't like gas pedals. Period. Who is doing that? The fuck is that noise? It's a more professional podcast now, Nick. We don't make noise anymore. Damn it. Blame you, new guy. Anyway, I don't like gas pedals, period. I don't, just the way they play. I don't dig it, like drawing and trying to get around that thing. So I wouldn't put that on. As far as the holster type, I don't see any reason to change that. The regular pouch style works for me. And magazine pouch location, I'm experimenting with that now. It will likely end up pretty similar to production. So yeah, not much of a reason to even change that stuff. It's just mostly the gun has more recoil and my finger sits slightly differently on the trigger due to it being a single action only flat trigger. And the gun has a bit more of a bounce to it. Well, let's say a little bit more. My practice ammo is like 190 or 195 power factor. I got a good deal on it.
Definitely a different route.
Are you shooting less or dry firing less time because you're shooting both, or same?
Oh well, I'm changing.
If you only did one,
I'm changing up my practice regime entirely this year. But no, I would say I'm training more because I feel invigorated. It's like it's interesting, It's like I do my regular practice and it's like, oh well, I'll shoot this, and then it's like it's a little bit different trying to learn a different gun and trying to play around with that. So it challenges me, and then it makes me want to practice more. So I like it. This is the thing that I'm doing is not a thing that I would tell people to do. But
so are you shooting double the rounds a day and double the length of dry fire?
I wouldn't say double, but it's more. I'm definitely practicing more. Having two guns to practice, two divisions to practice. Actually three, because I have carry optics as well. But I'm just Nick, I'd say right now I'm playing around, and we'll kind of see what I decide I want to do with it. I'll probably shoot some matches in like off division or outside of production this year, just for fun, just for something a little different. I actually shot my limited gun in class a couple of days ago, like doing all my shooting with a limited gun. Which that's a first for me, to shoot something other than a 9mm gun in a class. So. Yeah, it's good. I think Nick, I'm hoping it makes me better on some level.
Yeah, well, that was my goal, was to try to focus on some very specific things that I think are more relevant. They're very relevant to production, but even more so to limited. And I was hoping limited would force me to focus on those things. And I actually do think it was going in that direction, but obviously my my goal was to, I never planned to shoot limited, that season in real matches. So I kind of had to cut my experience short a little bit. But my goal was to focus on more individual skills that I feel apply more heavily in limited.
Well, I'm trying to not have preconceptions about what I think I need to do and just, take it for what it is, shoot it the best I can, and learn what I can from the experience, and then make some decisions what I want to do later. Like, it's been instructive for me also shooting a gun with a dot on it. Not a lot of surprises, but it's good to see things happening with the dot or whatever. All right, I'll talk about that later. Anyway, Nick, what do you got going on?
Oh man. So we probably touched on this a little bit in the past, just talking about off season in general. But for those who haven't followed me much,
where has Nick been this year?
Yeah, I've been kind of out of the loop a little bit. So I basically just my major match schedule has been cut down big time. Basically, the first part of this year. So I've just been thinking about how do I deal with that? What do I want to do? What do I want to not do? And the real test will be, I start shooting matches again, basically the second half of this year. And I got to pick up where I left off, So what I've been actually doing is just I've been shooting less. I've been basically just loading ammo. I've been screwing around with gear a little bit. Got all the things you do in the off season. Just kind of over a longer period of time, I guess. So, I tried to start off just shooting a ton, and to me, I found that I can't really do that and stay motivated with no match in mind, with no match to prepare for. So when I shot, South Carolina earlier this year, I'd been out, for several months at that point in terms of major matches. I ended up just shooting for about a month and a half leading up to it. I planned to shoot several club matches, but all but one got rained out. So I only got to shoot one club match. So from basically probably November last year till, May this year, I shot one club match and then went and shot South Carolina State on about a month and a half of real practice. And it was interesting. I hadn't been laid off that long, really, in forever. I did feel rusty, getting back into it a little bit. But the results at, South Carolina weren't, out of line from what I might expect the year before. So I think for me, the conclusion I've drawn, having, living in the South and not really having long off seasons, typically has been, if I for whatever reason, whether it's by design or not, if I had to shut down for a while, I guess it's okay to do that. I was concerned, and I still am, that I haven't really shot much, but just so what I've learned first half of this year is just trust the process coming back, and do what you have to do before your next match. Just get a good month of practice in. I think you'll be all right.
My feeling has always been you kind of pick up where you left off. I don't think you lose a whole lot taking a couple months off, to be honest.
Yeah, I guess that was kind of my experience. When and I went a long time really without shooting much at all, and when I came back, one thing that did surprise me, gun handling was almost. I mean, I had a couple extra bottles here and there, but in terms of basic gun handling drills, I mean, almost from the very first rep, I really did not lose anything. That kind of surprised me. So. I would just hit a 160 whatever bill drill. All those kind of gun handling drills were pretty much right on. What I lost more than anything was hitting stuff, turret poles, quality turret poles, and hitting things at long range. That's kind of what I had to spend the most time getting back. And from that, I kind of draw the conclusion: well, maybe I'm spending a little too much time doing all these gun handling drills in the normal course of my practice. If I can go, significant amount of time, come back and not really have lost anything, why am I spending a quarter of my practice on them? in
Yeah.
when I'm in the middle of the season. That kind of changed my view a little bit on that. Maybe that's relatively different.
You learned something. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, let's move on to some questions, gentlemen. All right, first one. So we'll do a couple, see what we have time for. All right. How hard do you press your trigger when you're going really fast? Like, say the trigger is 2 pounds. Are you mashing it with 10 pounds, or is it like a light, fast touch? Who wants to take this one?
What does he mean going really fast?
I don't know. Hard to say.
Okay.
I honestly don't think anybody can answer this question.
Au contraire, Matt.
Okay, fine. I can tell you I'm not like super concerned about like how hard or how soft, but I want it to go fast. So I think I'm mashing it harder than just trying to make it go fast, but like soft.
Yes. No, Matt. You're not only are you right, but that's that's not just what you do. That's what pretty much everybody does. So,
Okay.
So let's say, for example, you're a guy who thinks that you're pressing the trigger really light.
Yeah.
As the shooting gets closer and faster, whatever that means to you, it's about what you think about the shooting. It's not an objective thing. It's going on in your head. As it gets closer, it gets faster. The pressure gets up on you as you're competing. You press the trigger harder than you think, probably, and that's true of pretty much anybody. Like, however hard you press it, it's usually harder than you think when you're really shooting for real in a match, especially on really close targets. Pretty much everybody jams it back pretty hard, and like you said, Matt, the important thing is that you're fast, and if the pressure goes straight back into the gun, it's not really going to move it around a whole lot.
Can you isolate by feeling how like hard you're doing it by your doubles drill? Is that one thing you can do?
That's a good way to do it, and that's a good drill to work on your sort of your grip tension. Like, as long as the pressure goes straight back, it's not a big deal usually.
What is the doubles drill exactly you're talking about?
Oh, Nick, you have been gone for a while. It's basically shooting pairs of shots on a target at some sort of speed where you're simulating what you do in a match. So if it's like 5 yards, you draw the gun up and get a grip on it, and then you go ba 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 ba, shooting pairs of shots into the target. And all you're assessing is, are you shooting the gun as fast as you can pull the trigger for the pair? And then how is that shifting the point of impact around? You're making sure you're not pushing down on the gun, to push shots low and make sure your support hand's gripping hard enough that the gun's not rising up in recoil. Basically, that's what you're doing.
Have you tested that any closer than 5?
Have I?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Is it worth it any less than 5?
Not really, because you are
You
going
can't
to be
tell
able.
the shots.
No, you're going to be able to. It's going to be limited by your trigger speed.
Okay.
For you, probably further away than 5 yards. Your limitation will be how fast you can pull the trigger. It won't be the target difficulty.
Okay.
It'll be like, as fast as you can pull the trigger, you're going to be able to lay them into the A zone, as long as you pull the trigger straight.
You could still see patterns based off that, though.
Of course, yeah, you can see.
It's what you're trying to find to diagnose, right?
Yes, looking for patterns. I like patterns.
Oh yeah, 5 yards are in, definitely. That's
Yeah, but you can see if you hit like one dead center A and then the other group is at the top or bottom or whatever.
Yeah,
but they'll all still be in the A zone.
Yeah, the thing is, you're doing a lot of repetition. I mean, I typically shoot 50 rounds before I even assess the target
Right.
on this drill. So it's like you're going to see something. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. This has been good. I don't think we have time for any more questions, so I think this is a good time to end it. Jeffy, Matt, and Nick, thank you guys so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. Listeners, if you have a question you want the answer to, go to bensticker.com. Send me your question. There's some topic you want to hear Matt rage about, or whatever. Like, send that to him. He loves that shit, right, Matt? Don't you love it?
That's right.